for sure. We have one lab left next week, right? And remember, that's Thanksgiving holiday week. For some people, kids are out of school. If that's a situation, you need to find a babysitter, or you need to come tomorrow to my Wednesday lab, because that's their last lab.
What time is that?
It's from 11 to 2. Right? And know that you'll take the quiz on today's lab, right? I will grade it right in class and give it back to you.
It's in here?
It's in here. Yep. All the micro labs are in this room. So if you think you need to come?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. If you need to come, let me know, though, too, so I'm prepared.
And for lab 13, we also talk about unknowns.
Yep. That's the next thing I'm going to talk about. So the other thing that's due next week is your unknowns. And so I have a couple extra copies, too, if people need extra copies of it. But it is under Lab 8. It says Unknown Report. That's it right there. So you can download that document and print it. I printed that one-sided for you guys, and I want it handed in one-sided. It makes it easier for me grading. I don't have to flip back and forth. Although most people, if they were to print it at home, they don't have any way to print it two-sided, or wouldn't bother with printing two-sided. Okay, so the other thing I just added this morning, that I also put the due date of next week at 8 a.m. Right here. Yep. I got extra copies, a couple if she wants one. I printed them today. So, lost my train of thought. Okay, so I added this today. Notice it has 0 points because it goes with the points for your unknown report. But there isn't a lot of space on some of the sections for you to explain your results. And I find, too, even students that write really small, I have a hard time reading it. So I'm going to ask this semester that you guys actually type up your explanations for each one of the plate media and the tube media that you ran tests on. And so you'll notice if you look at your unknown report, right, the first page is all your stains for the most part, and one more on the second page in motility. It's all the pages after that, like anaerobic growth, right, phenol red. It says to explain down here your results for your unknown, and you have to include all the information in these questions. So basically, I know you know exactly how this test works and how you figured out whether yours was positive or negative, right? So if yours was positive, you'll keep saying it did all these things. If it's negative, you won't. I'm going to post this afternoon, I'm going to try and write up an example of one, of all the possible outcomes that you could get. And I'll probably do the phenol red one because this one's the most complicated. I'll be nice and do the really hard one for you guys, right? So one will already be done for you. But the rest of them, you still need to write on this sheet, right, the answers to all the questions. But just your explanations, and you can just type it up in Word, right? So you could write at the top, you know, a title for each section, right? Anaerobic growth, FTM, and then explain your classification for your organism based on what you know about that test, right? And then you'd write phenol red and write your explanation, right? Just make sure you title each little paragraph, basically, that you're going to write. So let me show you, because most of you guys probably haven't submitted documents on Canvas. I'm going to show you how to do that. So I'm actually going to go to my student view, if I can remember how to get there. There we go. So it looks just like it does for you guys. So you'll even see it pops up on your list because I dated it. So you could go there, or you could go to the modules, right? So I'm just going to go here because it's quicker and easier, right? Why take 2 steps to get somewhere when you can do 1 click? So you'll notice that you can submit the assignment. So there's 2 ways that you can do it. The easiest way is, of course, if you have a Word file that you have saved to your computer, is click Browse and then find that document, right? So I'm just going to click on something from one of my classes. And then you just hit Submit, and it's going to add that file, just like when you guys added your pictures. You'll notice it tells you over here you turned it in, and it shows the file there. The other option is that you could do the text entry. I don't suggest you type this up in in this field, right? Because if you lose internet connection and it doesn't save as you go, right? Type this up in Word, right? Some word processing document. But what you could do is paste and copy it into here. I don't care which way you do it as long as you submit it, right? So this way you guys don't have to type it up and print it out and bring it to me, right? You can submit it on Canvas for your unknown. What's Vanessa's question?
How do you want us to turn in the unknown report with the drawings?
The report itself you will bring to class that day. Next week.
Oh, that's a quick question.
And if you're absent, you better find some way to get it to me. Right? Or get it to me before the end of the week. Right? Make sense? Because you will lose points if you turn it in late. And you may not even get graded if you turn it in late. Okay. Any questions on that? Okay. So one more thing. And I may or may not have posted it, but it's one of the things that you handed out. So we have one exercise left, right? Next week we're going to do one more exercise. Today we're doing one exercise. These aren't related to your unknown, as you'll soon find out. You're done with your unknown. At this point you should be done. That's what I forgot. I wanted to go to grades. So notice too, if I leave messages or anything like that, it should pop up. So I purposely put a message on my student account. So notice when you go to grades, if there's a little box right here, that means I've left you a message, right? You need to read that. Okay, so for instance, for this one, and there's a couple of you guys in this class so far, this is the case. The color was kind of off, right, on our pictures. This is something new we're trying out, but it's been kind of cool, right? So you'll notice that for this one, I wrote the comment, is this pink? Because your gram-negative control should be gram-negative control, pink, right? So you need to answer this question because in your picture, I can't tell, right? And I need to know that you know that it should be pink, okay? So all you got to do, right, is click on it, and it will give you, you click on the link to the assignment, right? Off to the side over here, you can add a comment. So you could just write, yes, it is pink. Most of you guys, too, should also have a comment for me that says that your result matches what your unknown is. Right? So actually, most people should have comments, right, on their pictures. You should also, at this point, have a grade. When you look at grades, you'll notice that they're all out of 0 points. That's because I had posted them as individual assignments. So you see them here, right? And so you'll see all of them, right? But it says out of 0 points, but then you get points for doing it, right? And it tells you in the title how many points for each one of the pictures. These add up to 10 points if you get them all. This counts as quiz 8. So you'll notice that quiz 8 is down here at the bottom, right? It also has it in the list of groupings of assignments. If you hover over it, it shows you your grade. Because it's out of 0 points, it doesn't show a grade, because it doesn't go into the total tally. The reason why I have it set up that way is the other thing you'll notice is that, for instance, I put in some quiz 11 and quiz 12 grades. I put them in as a 0 in these other ones. Notice it's X'd out. That's because only your top 10 quizzes will count. So you guys will have a total of 12, I think. So 2 of them get dropped. Or 3 of them get dropped. Oh, 3 of them get dropped because remember we had the bonus quiz on dilution, so you ended up with 13 quizzes. So 3 of them get automatically dropped by Canvas, your 3 lowest grades. For your homework, we end up with 13 as well, so you'll notice that the 3 lowest ones are dropped here as well. So it might already be doing that, dropping your 3 lowest grades. So your average here isn't going to be correct until I enter in your last quiz and your last homework next week. But it'll give you kind of a gauge of where you're at. And so the same thing So right here, if you hover over it, notice it's 45 out of 50, right? Once I enter in that last one, right, if you are lacking a homework, then it'll go up to 50 out of 50, 100%. Same thing with the quizzes. That will change because notice, right, it's out of 100. Which at this point, we've had 10 quizzes. So, does that make sense to you guys? I didn't want to freak you guys out and put zeros in your homeworks and quizzes right now. But know that that number is going to change, and actually what I will do when you guys take your quiz next week, I will grade it right in class while you're doing the activity. And then I'll put on it your homework average and your quiz average so you know where you're at. Make sense? Okay? So you can play around with Canvas too, like you can enter in grades for yourself, right? And it'll calculate it for you. So if after next week you want to figure out like what you would need to get on exam 2 to get the grade you want, you could enter in a grade. For this one I had already entered one. But it gives you the option to enter something in. So like if I put in 10 points there, right, it recalculates your grade for you. It's kind of a cool thing that Canvas does. Obviously that's not real, right? It goes away. Any questions on that? Okay, so the other handout that you picked up, you'll notice is notes on review for the final. It also is a little activity. And this counts, I'm going to count this as a 10-point bonus assignment if you do this last page. And we're going to go over it in class. So you want to bring this with you next week to class because it's worth 10 bonus points. Right? And so you'll use the table, and based on the information I give you, try and figure out or narrow down what organisms it would be. So this is just like what you would have done with your unknown, but a little bit more practice because you've only done it once. It's the final exam study guide. Vanessa has it. So actually fill it out, right? And I'll check it at the beginning of class. My final exam is the 29th in here. We'll start at 9. So no one better be late. And I'll do more of a final exam review and go over that sheet next week. So I'm going to move on to today's lecture now.